Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Woo-hoo. Hey, if I look fired up and if I look excited, there's a reason. Guys, we got the big fish today, the big fish. Once again, this is James Holmes Jr. with Black Lion, and our special guest today is the notorious, world-traveled, world-renowned George Robinson. A little bit about George Robinson is he owns the Robinson Companies, is an international speaker, global traveler. He's got business partnerships and connections with major companies like Boeing and Cisco and Microsoft and Merck and Monsanto and Coke and Medtronics. And I know I left some out, but we'll let Mr. Robinson introduce himself. Tell us about yourself, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you so much, James, for that introduction. Again, my company is the Robinson Group and primarily consultant and also a global speaker. I've had the wonderful opportunity to speak in 35 different countries over the last 7 years and to travel around the globe about 5 times. My primarily teaching curriculum is about unconscious bias. It's emotional competence. It's also about micro inequities and microaggressions, and also about sales and marketing. Excited to do that. I've been doing it for about 15 to 20 years right now. And it's been wonderful for me because I've met some inspiring people and have traveled the world. And the one thing I found out, cultures all over the world are pretty much the same. They just want a job. They just want to take care of their families, and they want to move their culture forward and keep it going.
Oh my goodness, wow. Now, I want to make sure I don't need to clean my ears out. I thought I heard you say you traveled the globe 5 times.
I would say around the globe.
Oh my goodness. Enlighten us, please.
Well, I'll tell you, it's very interesting. I really took it upon myself. I didn't plan it, but the work has taken me there. And I work primarily with Fortune 500, 1,000 companies. I work with smaller companies as well. But those companies have divisions around the world. And before they used to be called international, which means that they had a division in China, division in Tokyo, in various other parts of Europe and South America. But now they are become global. And the difference between international and global, from my perspective, is when you go to their company in Japan, there are Japanese people running it, not majority white men running that division. It is Chinese people, it's Japanese people, it's Korean people, and I call that globalization. And so I've had a chance to go to all of those countries because the second language of those folks in those various countries is English. So I haven't had to learn a language. Now, many times there's 25% of the audience that have to have real-time translation, but that's only a small percentage of the people. And because of that, one country feels that what's going on is great for this country and this country. Why don't we take and bring that particular person to this country? And that's taken me around the world. And that's been really, really exciting and expanded my business in many other ways as well.
My goodness, that is so awesome. So awesome. You know, folks, I want to lighten the air a little bit here, is that I know it seems unusual that George and I both have pretty much similar suit and tie combination, but I promise you, it was totally ironic. But there is actually something to this. I mean, I believe a lot into just positivity and affirmations, and just, sending good things out into the universe and good things coming back to you. And I talk to my mentorship group often about who you hang out with, okay? I'm fortunate enough to hang out with this brilliant man. He didn't tell me he was wearing a gray suit and a blue shirt and a red tie, but I get it rubs off, it does. And if I'm gonna have something rub off on me, I don't want Johnny the Pip rubbing off on me. I want George Robinson rubbing off on me, and I sincerely mean that. And leading into that, George, it is actually written in the Bible where it says you can tell a tree by its fruit. And I've worked real hard on that, and you've been a great example of that. My wife and myself, we've been fortunate enough to get all 4 of our kids through college with their degrees, and you did that before I did. And I mean, your kids have really rocked it, which to me is a good reflection on you. You want to speak on that at all?
I've been very fortunate because I've been successful in business, and my kids are mixed kids. I wanted to send them to private school simply because, not only because I could afford it, but if they decided to go to an Ivy League school, no one would ever come to them and say they weren't qualified. And so I sent the kids to brick school over in Golden Valley, and it cost me a lot of money. you know, $30,000 a year per kid for 12 years, a little over.
Bro, you know I understand. I understand.
But I did all that so that they would have a platform that they could grow from, and nobody could say they weren't good enough. I was fortunate enough that I trained them all. They all went to schools on scholarships. They went to college on scholarship. I paid big money for Breck. But one went to Brown University, and she was a soccer player. And although the Ivy Leagues don't give out scholarships, if you are a good athlete and you play a particular sport, they give you grants that you don't have to pay back.
Wow,
and most of us as black people don't know that the endowments at Ivy League schools are so darn big that if you're a good athlete, if you're a good student, they will give you a scholarship, but it won't be in the form of a scholarship. It'll be in the form of a grant that you don't have to pay back. So just get accepted. And then I had another son, and by the way, she played soccer.
And that is valuable information for our audience.
Yeah.
Valuable information.
Yeah, valuable information. And I coached them and all the way through. She was a soccer player. She played at Brown University. They played Division I sports at Brown, but because of Brown, of who it is, they played Division I soccer. So she got a chance to play all over the country.
Awesome.
My son played at Breck. He still got, he was a football star, and he went to Boston College. He had 14
I remember watching him on TV.
14 Division I scholarships.
Yeah.
And so proud of him. He went on and was a undrafted free agent for the Philadelphia Eagles, played through the first 3 preseason games and got cut. And he only got cut because the Philadelphia Eagles brought our good friend Michael Vick back and offered him $100 million. They let 5 players go.
Oh,
and so my son
great
came home and
football. I was cut inside Michael Vick.
Michael Vick. Oh, it's good. So I see Michael once in a while in the airplane to Atlanta when I work with Coca-Cola, and I said, you cost my son some money. But Michael's doing very well now, so it's very happy for him. But my son decided one of the great things about going to college is if you are redshirted in college as a football player, you can walk on the field, if you take advantage of the summer programs, you can walk on the field your senior year with your degree in your hand. And that's a thing that a lot of our people don't know about. And that's really exciting, to be able to walk on the field your senior year and have your degree in your hand. More than that, when I signed my son with Boston College, they said, listen, what we'll do if the NFL doesn't work out, we'll pay for your son's master's degree. So when my son got cut by the Philadelphia Eagles, I called up the athletic director at Boston College. I said, you know what, we could go to college, get more views and try it again, but I want to take advantage of that master's degree. They gave him room, board, and tuition for another year. Went back on his master's degree.
That's wisdom of a great father. That is truly wisdom of a great father.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Thanks so much. And my last daughter went to a college called Pitzer College out in California. She went on a soccer scholarship, and it was Division II. She did extremely well. But what I'm so proud of her for is she came back, got a job, signed up for a program, a master's, that's PhD program, and she has finished the master's program, and she has finished all the work for a PhD in psychology, and now I call her my PhD candidate, which once she finishes dissertation,
doctor
dissertation. And of course they all laugh at me because I have a honorary PhD from Missouri Valley College, and I went back and did commencement speech a few years ago, and they gave me an honorary PhD, put me on the board of trustees, and they haven't asked for the check yet. So I'm thinking that'll come, but right now I'm feeling good about it.
Funny how that works.
But it's a fake PhD.
You know what? It's still a wonderful honor.
Yes,
it's a wonderful honor. That is, oh my goodness, that's like off the charts. It really is off the charts. You know, another thing about this guy is that it's not only just his kids, but you know, his wife, which, you know, may she rest in peace, but also you know, his parents and so forth. And it's so interesting. We're both well read, and we'll talk from time to time about things we read and so forth. And I was telling him about a new program I'm rolling out, and I'm like, you know, George, it just goes with just our base philosophies and core value. You know, the quote by Zig Ziglar: the more I can help people get what they want, the more I can get what I want. And he interrupted me and he goes, you want to tell him what you told me?
I don't remember exactly, but
well, it was like Zig actually.
Yeah, Zig actually got my father-in-law, who was Larry Wilson.
Larry Wilson, right.
Larry Wilson started a company called Wilson Learning Corporation. He actually started it in his garage in 1965, and he's been my mentor ever since. Again, he passed on in 2013, but he spent the last 3 years in my house. He's written about 4 or 5 different books, and I brought James a couple of the books, Changing the Game, A New Way to Sell.
Saved me a little money.
As I told him, I came bearing gifts.
It will be read soon.
And then another book, which I really live by, which is called Stop Selling, Start Partnering, which is a way to gather and keep customers in a win-win kind of relationship. So Larry Wilson is my mentor, and he taught me everything I knew about selling, and really got me into the speaking business. He was very good. He got about $25,000 for a 45-minute speech. I'm not quite there, but he did very well, and started Wilson Learning Corporation, which is global right now, about probably 100, 150 different offices. It has been sold several times, and it's owned by the Japanese now. It's called Nippon Wilson Learning worldwide, but a tremendous amount of learning came from Larry. And his daughter, who I married, and we had 3 beautiful children. She passed away in 2014, but she was an incredible journalist, English major, traveled and got educated all over Europe, and was a national skier, and was an Olympic style skier, skied with many of the incredible people. She was an alternate in the early 80s.
Obviously, that explains part of the genetics of your kids. I mean, you were a great athlete and great scholar, and your wife was a great athlete and great scholar, so we shouldn't even be surprised, right?
We worked with them, and it's, you know, we all have mentors, and the private school, getting your kids educated, education is something the man cannot take away from you, so get all of it you can. And if you have a scholarship to go to college, don't worry about the sport. Do the best you can in the sport, but use your athletic prowess to get the best education you can get. And that's what's going to take you on.
And if I may piggyback on that, it does not even stop there after you get the piece of paper. The piece of paper is wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. When my kids walked across the stage, if they were here, they'd tell you now, when they walked across the stage, as soon as they got there, I was like, give me my degree, give me my diploma.
You take it back.
But Daddy, it's mine. Don't I have a copy? We'll make you a copy. But the main one goes on the wall. So if you go in our home, there's 4 of them there. And like you said, they can't take that back. But the thing that I want to emphasize on that is that we're always learning. Yeah. I mean, I would say undoubtedly that my learning and my studying is much more intense than college, which when I was in college, I didn't think anything could be more intense. But that just goes to show you, that just gets you ready for the next level, because I eat books for breakfast, lunch, and dinner now, and I need to, because to me, the way it is you can go through life sleepwalking and just listen to what they tell you and do what they tell you, and the result's going to be what they tell you, which won't be in your favor and be in someone else's favor. That's just a fact. So I encourage all of you guys, go out, get your own information, get your own knowledge, so that you're comfortable in the decisions you make, because all the habits basically just determine where we're going to go anyway. And that's just based upon the knowledge that we have. And so we want to get good knowledge. I'm sure you agree with that, right?
Absolutely. Use college. It's something that you said and you always say, learn to learn. And that's what college is about. Learning to learn. You didn't know I picked up things from you, right? Learning to learn.
Yeah, and I do say that. I say that's my superpower. Well, that's really, I think, the main thing that I got out of college is I learned to learn. Wow, man, you're killing me, George. You're killing me. Hey, with your company, you do a lot of training and a lot of developing. And I know that the base for a lot of that is sales. And I think that's super cool, because most things that we do in some regard are not, they're selling. They're maybe not pictured like that,
right,
but they are.
Yeah.
They really are. You want to speak on that some?
Yeah, I think everyone needs to have communication and sales skills. A lot of people don't want to be called sales. If you're a banker, you're a representative, or you're a business development person. But it comes down to good communication skills and good sales skills. And I think, and what I've learned in my experience, is that you need 3 basic things to become a good communicator or a good salesperson. Number 1, you need to have some basic sales training skills, which there are plenty of those out there, and the Robinson Group teaches that as well. But you also need interpersonal style skills. Everyone has a style. And if you are selling or communicating with someone, they would rather you communicate with them in their style. So in learning about social style, and you need to be able to understand the 4 major styles that are out there, but you need to be flexible enough to be able to let your style go and be able to communicate with somebody in their style. So having styles, having basic sales skills, and the last thing that you really need, you need to understand the whole topic of micro-messaging. The messages we send to people as we're communicating with them that really tell them how we really feel about them. And I spent a lot of time teaching messaging. And messaging comes in 2 specific forms. They come in positive messages and they come in negative messages. The negative messages are called micro-inequities. They were developed out of MIT by Dr. Mary Rhodes. She spent 21 years studying the whole idea of micro-messaging and how they impact people and impact workforces. Positive messages are called micro-inequities. The negative, negative messages are called micro-inequities. The positive ones are called micro-advantages. And they are what's important in the selling process, more so than anything that I do. And those messages are sent by way of body language, syntax, nuance, innuendo. All of those things come into place. Bowing of the head, turning away in the conversation, all mean something to people. And they pick up on that quicker than they pick up on the words themselves. Yes. So the 3 things, again, some basic sales skills, some interpersonal style, and also understanding micro-messaging.
Wow. That's stronger than bear's breath. Man, this is good stuff. Hey, it's not too late. You guys call your friends, whoever they are. Call Ricardo, call Swen, call Pookie and Ray Ray, call Ralph, John, Mike, Barb, everybody. George Robinson's here in the house. It's not too late to get some of this good knowledge. So moving on from that, I know you talked a little bit about micro-inequities also, but you also deal quite a bit in unconscious bias too. Now, we hear that thrown around all the time, and my wife teaches it also, and so sometimes I just assume everybody really has a good grasp of it, but I find that not to be the case. I find that people throw it around, but really don't know what it means. You want to speak on that, please, George?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you, I'm going to just put it in regular words. Unconscious bias has caused a lot of the problems that we're having in this country today. the races getting along with each other, the police getting along with the people in the communities. And a lot of that material is based on the biases that they were raised with. Now, biases are in our DNA. And they kept us alive when we were running around in the jungles, when we ran into a different tribe of people. And those particular people had on different war paint. And if we didn't kill them before they killed us, we wouldn't have survived. So DNA is in our blood. But today, we have to look at that a little bit differently. Today, when we think about bias, it's how we were raised. It's the values that our family has raised with us. It's what we believe in. It's what we see on MSNBC. It's what we see on CNN. It's what we see on Fox News. That develops what our biases are. We all have them. And if you want to get in touch with yours, just go to Harvard EDU and punch in implicit bias test, and you can take the test and find out where your biases lie. Now, those biases act out in behavior with other people. So when you talk about unconscious bias, you can't separate it from micro inequities, those negative messages that we send to people, because those biases that you have manifest themselves, move themselves forward, show themselves in the behavior that you have toward other people. You see, that's just the way it works. You can't do an unconscious bias, but it shows up in the behavior. It may show up as you and I talking, and I turn away from you as you're talking to me, and what that tells the other person is, I could care less about what you're thinking about or what you're talking about. Or just a nod of the head, which means yes. Those kinds of things. A wink of understanding, a smile of encouragement, raise the roof, cut it off, you're talking and somebody in the background says, get it on, or somebody says, those are negative messages that can be sent. But those negative messages come from those biases that you have. That's a little bit. I could talk 5 hours on unconscious bias, but I won't go much further on that. I think you get the picture.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. We know that your track record is like almost unrivaled for the most part. And I know you're not going to do this forever. So, what do you see in your future, George Robinson? What is there left? There may not be anything left for you to conquer, but what are your plans?
I want to spend more time working with people. We don't talk about the mental illnesses that people have. We don't talk about, and I'm not talking about, it could include, schizophrenia and addictions and all of those kind of things, but working with mental health, people that have mental health issues, because of the disparities that they've experienced here in Minneapolis and all over the country. They say this country is a melting pot, and everybody gets in there and they melt together. But we as black people, we were the pot. We never got in and mixed and really got a piece of our pie.
Ooh.
And so what I want to do now is help people understand the mental issues that are developing around the disparities that are developing around the pandemic, that are developing around the economic things that we suffer from. I mean, everybody knows that in Hennepin County alone, probably 18% of black people own their own homes. About 90% of the white people own their own homes.
Man, that's a big difference.
That's
a huge difference.
We are last hired and first fired. It's those kind of things that I want to try to help people with. To become a life coach, to become a business coach, to give people a place to go to handle the mental health issues that they have. That's what I want to move on to do and make a difference. There's an old Negro song called "If I Can Help Somebody," and I live by that. If I can help somebody as I go along, if I can help somebody with a word or a song, if I can show somebody how they've been traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. I want to live the last part of my life that way, James.
Whew. Man, wow, that's a powerful message. That's a powerful message.
And James, that's what you are doing now.
Wow, I'm very humble.
You're doing that now. You're doing it in a big way.
George.
You're touching a lot of people, man.
I'm very humble. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That's a great compliment. We are out there working hard, focused on positivity, really for everybody, and just being a soldier for humanity.
Yeah.
And I know you are too. This man travels the world. You guys know he's traveled the world 5 times. He's an expert, top notch in everything he does. And he's been generous enough to take his time to share some of his valuable wisdom and knowledge with you guys. And on behalf of the whole Black Lion audience, Mr. Robinson, I just want to say thank you very much. Appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.
You are
Thank you, man. You're the
awesome,
man.
awesome. Don't know what we can ever do to actually give you your due, but I hope that everybody tells their friends and colleagues about this and listen to this awesome, amazing, intellectual giant that's also a giant for humanity too. So once again, we really, really appreciate you, George. And as always, you guys continue to pray for me, and Mr. Robinson will continue to pray for you. Stay blessed, be blessed. George Robinson, James Holmes, we're out.